بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله أما بعد. I greet you all with the greeting Assalamu alaikum. We're just here on the webinar, mostly for the Mali students, and I'm going to take a little twist, change, and I will present today. This is to benefit you all in the classes, and most of the classes are becoming more advanced classes. So that's the purpose of these Sunday presentations. Over the years, I've made a lot of presentations dealing in the areas of studies that from the beginning, Arabic, all the way up to where we are now. So I'll start concentrating on that which is more advanced in terms of learning Quranic Arabic. The objective. Our objective is to learn to read the Quran with comprehension. And the method that I am presenting to achieve that objective is learning how to read Arabic, defining Arabic. How to define Arabic with Arabic, which gives you a broader context, a broader concept of Arabic terms that may be used in the Quran. The more you can see language in its synonyms and antonyms, so forth and so on, and the more you can read Quran in connection with itself, in context with itself, the greater the comprehension becomes, the more the Quran becomes open to you. And we've also had a couple of years or more of Balagha that also helps in having a greater appreciation in the Quran and the language of the Quran. We're always speaking from the Arabic text, not from English translations. So this is our purpose. This is not I'm not a motivational speaker of any type. I'm not an entertainer. It may be a little much for you, but it's recorded that you can go back and take a look at it. I put it all up on the site, on the Mali Ning network, so you are able to go back and take a look at it if you're interested. So I'm speaking from the sources, even not to name the sources, I copied and put it on Facebook, but I'll present today, and I won't be so detailed today. There are a couple of areas I will elaborate on Tuesday. We come together Tuesday to have questions. That's when you can take a look at what we're presenting today. And then Tuesday, if you have questions about what's presented today, you can ask them on Tuesday. If you want a discussion of what was presented today, Tuesday is the time. Sometimes I'll bring it up in the class. If we come across something in the class that I have mentioned here, I will bring it up in the class. So this is for the students. I encourage all of you all to either come on Thursdays and listen, or you can listen to the recording. So, and I'm still sticking with the project that I am working on that's of my interest in comparing, looking at the verses and comparing the logic. I'm going to call it the logic of Ibn Arabi and the logic of Imam W.D. Muhammad. The mind, the meeting of the minds of Ibn Arabi and Imam W.D. Muhammad. That's my interest, and that's what I'm doing. So we've covered quite a bit. We've done one chapter. We're working on another chapter, and there may be some other presentations between the two chapters. So we're looking at chapter 16. We're not going to do every verse in 16. We're looking at the verses that Ibn Arabi has commented on, and then we go and we find comments, related logic comments from Imam W.D. Muhammad. This is what I'm doing. Okay. So the verse we're looking at today is chapter 16, verse 32. 16:32. So it reads, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, الذين يتوفاهم الملائكة طيبين. Those whom the angels take them. يتوفاهم. This word here is a term to be elaborated on itself, which I'm not going to do here. But the angels take them, tayyibina, as pure-hearted, if I want to say souls, that's pure-hearted. I'm not following translation. I'm just giving this to you slow and as I am giving. I'm not following a particular translation here. I know you have assignments in the class, but some of you become more advanced and you'll be able to do this yourself. I'm just going word for word right now. That I see. That's what I see. Yakuluna, saying, they say, Salamun alaikum. Peace upon you. Udkhulu al-jannata. Enter the garden, bima kuntum ta'malun, because of what you were doing, the works that you have done. This is the angels as they take the souls, those pure good souls. They're saying to them, they're greeting them, saying, Salamun alaikum, udkhulu al-jannata, bima kuntum ta'malun. Now, commenting on this, وَأَمَّا الْمُتَّقُونَ. As for al-muttaquna are those who are conscious. They're conscious of what God wants in them, and this consciousness allows them to preserve, protect, and preserve. Taqwa from taqwa. Taqwa is to protect and preserve. And we could say that which is in the soul, that which is in the heart. You want to protect and preserve something. Anil ma'asi, from rebelliousness. Wal munahi, and prohibitions. Someone who will go down the path. Now we talked about the in the first part of this chapter, in the first presentation, we talked about the unfolding, which we're going to be talking about during the year. This unfolding. And we spoke about the two paths. The path is upright path, the path that goes up, that goes vertical, Sirat, and the path that goes horizontal, Sabil, which we made comments in the class and on Tuesday about those two. We added comments that was not in the presentation, which we'll be doing from this week also, as I mentioned. And now, here, there was one other we talked about. It doesn't come to mind right now. But here, when we say ma'asi, just trying to keep the flow going in the verse, that's one of the difficult things about the Quran. As you're translating Quran, or even reflecting upon Quran, you want to try to continue with the flow of the Quran. So continue with this flow of the Quran, which we'll go back and summarize, and I'll show the flow throughout the surah as we go. As we're on this path, two paths, Siraj and Sabil. You don't want to deviate. You don't want to rebel against the objective and the direction of the path, and you don't want to take on those things that are prohibited as you're staying on the path. Especially, we mentioned the subul, sabil, because there are many paths. You want to be straight on whatever path you take. You don't want to be of those who we would say al-ma'asi, or those that we would say al-munahi. You don't want to be that. You want to be muttaqin, always protecting and preserving. Continuing, al-waqifuna, standing ma'a ahkami al-shari'ati, with the principles of Sharia would be universal laws, not just Islamic law. When we say Sharia is not just Islamic law, because in this language, in this context, when we talk about Sharia, we're talking about Sharia that's established by Allah. And whatever laws is established by Allah are universal for all of mankind, not just a select few. It's for all of mankind when we say Sharia. So the United States of America, they have read Quran, they have studied the exemplary life of Muhammad the Prophet, the demonstrated life of the Quran by Muhammad the Prophet, the President, peace be upon him, and they have extracted from that what we call Sharia, and they have used it to establish principles of law in America, to the point that they honor Muhammad the Prophet, the President, peace be upon him, in what we call the halls of justice. This is Sharia. Yes. And they're universal. And any nation today that's advancing today has been influenced by Sharia, Sharia, what we call Sharia. Yes. Al-Mu'tarifuna, and this is the muttaqun, those who are the muttaqun. They avoid rebellion, they avoid the prohibitions, and they stand and establish themselves with the principles of Sharia, the Sharia, and al-mu'tarifuna, professing the Tawheed. When I am speaking or teaching today, now maybe I haven't always been this way, but today, for the past 15, 20 years, I'm speaking as a Muslim American and reflecting on, well, more than 20 years, since the 80s, reflecting on how I see the logic of the Quran in my life in America. I try not to go somewhere else or read books that would take me somewhere else, and try to see my life there, see myself applying the Quran there as if I wish I was somewhere else. I'm where I'm at in America, so I read it and I look in America. And I see in America those who have taken from the principles of Sharia and using them. There's no conflict with the Quran, I can accept. And those who confess at Tawheed, the scientists, who are confessing at Tawheed, I have no problem with them. There's no contention with them. Bit Tawheed, confessing. But the Muslim, those who claim, quote unquote, to be Muslim, and those who are the muttaqun, then they will be following these principles of Sharia which is based upon Quran, and they would also be confessing with Tawheed, and they should have no problem with that. What Nabuwati and the prophets, prophecy and the prophets. Ala at-taqlidi, upon at-taqlid. And I'm going to just say here, which we could elaborate more, the traditions upon tradition, taqlid, without, some might say with blind faith, which we're going to be talking about. So I put it under taqlid. Under traditions, without having evidence, la at-tahqiqi, without true evidence, without knowing the true reality, without having that. Those who were like that. This we would elaborate on. I don't want to do it here because I'm trying not to take too much time with this. I want you to see the writing. So you are confessing this, even though la tahqiq, even though you may not have all of the truth, all of the evidence of truth. Yes. Well, illa, except لِتُجَرِّدُوا بِالْإِلْمِ الْيَقِينِ, except that you are free. You are free by ilmi al-yaqeen. And you will read this as knowledge of certainty. But we have in America, we have in our society an expression that I'm going to use. We call it the exact sciences. Ilm is a word for science. So some of you are students, I want you to make notes of come back and ask questions to elaborate on. We're talking about the exact sciences. And we've been mentioning this, we've been talking a lot about science in these presentations. Science and what we're talking about and miracles. So I'm not going to talk here. I could bring it back up when you ask the question. About ilmi al-yaqeen, exact sciences. Because we're living in a time of science, the advancement. And we've been inundated with science, advanced science today. Now, I don't go to church, but what little church I listen to on the network or maybe see on TV, I don't see a whole lot of preaching about miracles anymore. So let's talk about that Tuesday. So the exact sciences, like mathematics, you have math. We say math is a ilm al-yaqeen. So math is something that's an exact science. So it's not something that we will confess. And math is based upon tawheed, if you understand. It's based upon one. It's based upon oneness. Math is based upon oneness. If you've taken math, if you've taken algebra, your algebraic expressions are based upon tawheed, based upon oneness. Yes. But it's not based upon taqlid. La tahqiq. So we call it an exact science. It's a true science. It's tahqiq. It's true. So math, we say math, the numbers, calculating, calculus, geometry, algebra, algorithms. These are all part of the science of the numbers, calculating with numbers, calculations. We call math. It's all an outgrowth of it. And it's ilmu yakin. It's a science. Math is a science that many of the other branches, we talked about the many paths of science that you can take. Many paths. Math is one of the paths of science, and it has its branches. It has paths from the main path, like a tree. Math could be the trunk, but it has many branches that I just named a few. But it's what we call exact. It's an exact science that we have to have as a prerequisite for many of the other sciences. Because we talked about the Tawheed, how they all connect. All the sciences connect. So math become a prerequisite. Now when we come to the Quran, because we're in the time of science, we're in the days of science here in the United States of America today, then I'd say I'm looking at the Quran as a science. I'm not in the time of great miracles, of those who don't have tahqiq, looking for miracles. I'm in the time now for those who don't have tahqiq, looking for the sciences, the advancement of the sciences, that if we want to use this word, which is in a social context, because in the scriptural context, we don't have this word miracle. In the social language, we have the word miracle and its understanding and its application. In the Quranic language, we don't have this word miracle. In the Hadith language, we don't have this word miracle. We don't have this idea. We have the word ilm. We have the word alameen. We have the word that we translate into as the sciences. And I believe this is what we need today. I don't think we should be preaching miracles. I think we should be preaching the sciences. And the Quran being a science. And the Quran being a science that's the prerequisite of all the other sciences. Because if you're going to go on whatever path, you have Sirat and Sabil. Sirat is one path, we say, go up. And the Sabil has a many paths that goes horizontal. And if you're on any of those paths, you have to have Quran as a prerequisite for those sciences. I hope you understand. Therefore, the Quran should be taught as a science. Yes, and Allah, He's the Lord of all the sciences. So yes, so yes, you may have faith, taqlid, without evidence. Many come to faith, which is in our subject. Faith without evidence, yes. But what frees you from that is the exact sciences. Now you're not operating just off of faith. You're operating off of evidence. On Safati and Nafsi. That the exact sciences, it frees you from those influences, Safati Nafs influences on the soul. That's in the soul, but it frees you to the station, to the place or the station of the heart. And in the heart, the heart, which we've talked about. I'm trying to say, I know I have to say a lot. Trying not to say a lot, but saying a lot. The heart is the place of all the knowledge. See, when the ruh comes into the soul and mates with the soul, and from that we say the heart is born out of that. And this ruh comes, it has the knowledge, the light, the ilm, which we have defined with the ruh. And if you can understand this and understand the process of mating and birthing, the roof is placed in an environment called the nest. The roof doesn't exist alone outside of itself. We're talking about the human being. It comes and has to mate, put itself in an environment called the nest. And in that environment, it develops. And the heart is born out of that relationship. And all the knowledge is now deposited in the heart. The Quran is a science that's deposited on the heart. So we move now. We're moving from the soul to the station of the heart with the exact sciences. I hope I'm making it. I don't know if it's clear, but I hope I'm making sense to you. It's sense to me in my mind, but I don't know if I'm saying it to make sense to you. Now, all of this is, we're talking about the mutakun. I'm not talking about the disbelievers. We're not addressing disbelievers. We're not addressing the skeptics, so forth and so on. We're talking about those who are conscious and regardful to preserve and protect that which is on the heart. At-tayyibina. Tayyibina. Yes, those who are pure, good and pure. All of it connects. فَتَتَوَفَّاهُمْ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, which is in the verse, the angels take them, tayyibina. Tayyibina, they're pure. Stay with their good nature. Ala surati akhlaqihim, upon the form of the form or how they have been formed in their characters. In their character, and their works. See, these are the two things that has to be displayed in the public. Your character and your work are to be visible. So in our clothing, we extract from this little piece, we extract from this, and we put it in the demonstrated tradition of Muhammad the Prophet, how he demonstrated it, by saying that the only thing to be seen in the public is your hands and your face. Now, if you're bald-headed, you should cover your head. You should cover your head. Men and women, you should cover your head. But if hair is on your head, then your head is not exposed in the public. Think about it. So your hands and your face should be exposed in the public. Akhlaqi, a'mali. At-tayyibina, the good works, pure works, good character, pure character. Al-jamilati, beautiful character, beautiful works. That becomes our true fashion. That's become our true fashion statement. And the clothing just becomes a symbol of the true reality. Yes. When we can start thinking like this from the Quran, now this is in connection with the verse. When we can start reading the Quran and think from the Quran, learn to read the Quran for ourselves and start thinking, then you will start seeing us designing fashion that really make true statements to the reality that we hold in our hearts. We'll be expressing the knowledge, the science that's in the heart. The exact sciences that we benefit from, there will be statements in the dress that one could see you and read your dress. instead of imitating others, not knowing what their cultural expression is about. Now we're talking true cultural expression now. Yes. So I might not be reading the Quran. I might not be reading from this scholar like others would read from this. They could read the same thing and come away with something different. But as I read it, the Quran, and as I am reading and giving expression to it, then the expression I will have to put it in my works. And if I'm a tailor who makes clothes, a seamstress that makes clothes, then it will be seen in my works, it will be seen in my character. Yes. Farihina mustabshirina. Then we could say farihina, rejoicing. Farihina, rejoicing, mustabshirina. Both words. Rejoicing, we could say rejoicing with the good news. Rejoicing in the good news. We see it in the Bachelor. Rejoicing in the good news that we're human beings, and the news is yakuluna salamun alaykum udkhulul jannata. And this garden, we're not talking about life after death. We're talking on this side. When we're presenting the Quran, my mind cannot go to the other side. I've never been on the other side. I don't know the other side. That's part of taqleed. I confess. My confession is that I believe in the Tawheed, I believe in the prophets, so forth and so on. We're going to elaborate on this. Based upon taqleed. I believe in a life after this life based upon taqleed. Yes. But we're talking about the life, the Jannah on this side, not the other side. And whatever we get of the Jannah on this side, the other side will be better. That's based upon taqleed, la tahqiq. But there's enough that I know on this side that will point to the other side. But I don't know the other side. I have to have faith. Faith in the other side. Not tahqiq of the other side. There's a difference. And that's to say, commenting on this part of the verse, al-jannata ma'huda is the garden that is known. Indahum, that's with them. The known garden, the well-known garden that's with them on this side. Wahiya jannatun nufus, and it is a garden of souls that makes up the garden. A garden of souls. Like you have a garden, the orchards, the trees, the fruit trees. Maybe you have the vineyards. These are all gardens. But here you have the Jannatul Nufus, the garden of souls. Beautiful, pure, beautiful souls. Min Jannatil Af'al. That's from the gardens of their actions. Bima kuntum ta'malun, by what they have done, what they do. This is the first part of this comment. Let's go to the second part. Muhammad munadi lil iman. Muhammad is the caller. Muhammad is a caller, we could say, to faith. He's a caller to faith. Al-imanu billahi, faith in Allah. Al-imanu bil-hayat al-akhirah. Al-akhiri or al-akhirati. Let's put al-akhirati. So this I am writing from the logic of Imam W.D. Muhammad. So if you see There could be mistakes here. That's what I want to say. Bil hayat al-akhirati, but even al-akhiri or al-akhirati, we're talking on this side. We're talking about another life on this side. What you see is not all of it. There's a corresponding life to the visible life that you see. We have faith in that. Al-imanu bi-qiyamati al-amwati. And faith in the standing up of the dead. You say the resurrection of the dead on this side. And there are many deaths, amwat. The many deaths, emotional deaths, social deaths, intellectual deaths, many deaths on this side, that you could be resurrected from any and all of the deaths on this side. Yes, you may suffer. There are many paths. There may be many deaths that you may incur on the many paths. But you can get up at Qiyamah. Get up and get back on the path and keep going. We have faith in that. We just don't die and feel that that's it. Al-imanu bil-malaikati, faith in the angels on this side. Al-imanu bil-wahyi, faith in revelation, faith in inspiration, revelation, inspiration that we can get from the Quran on this side. That the Quran still wahyi, the Quran still inspires. It's an open book. It's transcending. It has a transcending nature that continues to inspire. It's not a dead book. It's not a dead language. It's not dead. It's alive. And it comes alive in the heart of the muttaqun. We believe in these are faith. We have faith in that. That's why we do so much to study. There's a bit of the known and there's a bit of the unknown when reading Quran. Yes, it may inspire you in something that you see, that you know, but there's always left plenty of room for what you don't know. And you have faith that you will continue to grow. Yes, that's part of the science of Quran. We have to study it. And then we'll be able to even express it better. Not science we find in the Quran itself as a science, giving birth to many sciences. We believe in that. Wahi. And all the sciences, are we there yet? Has it all been said and done? There are no more inspiration for any more sciences. There are no more paths. The tree has all of its limbs, all of its twigs, all of its leaves. There are to be no more limbs, branches, what have you, from the tree of the Quran. There's no more growth that to be had. Is that what we're saying? No, we have faith in Bil Wahyi. Al-Imanu Bil Kutubi, faith in the books. Kutubu Musa, the books of Moses, Isa, wa Jami'ul Anbiya, and all of the prophets. We have faith in all of them. Yes. And I'm saying without reservation. I know some of you want to say but. No, I'm not saying but. There is no but. Al-Imanu bi-qadarillahi, and faith in the qadr of Allah. The Allah gives, we could say, the capacity. All have been given a certain, everything has its own capacity. And Allah is the one that not only gives everything its capacity, this is the qadr of Allah, He's the measure. He has measured everything, given everything its capacity. If you understand what I'm saying, I'm sure you do. litanzini, to regulate. You have the capacity and you have the regulation of that capacity. It belongs to Allah. And it regulates within that capacity. You have its good and you have its harm. Yes, this is a discussion that came up. And sometimes I have a discussion, my mind doesn't start in with the discussion. Because someone brought up the idea of artificial intelligence. We'll discuss it more on Tuesday. It's part of the science, the development of science. Yes. Make a note. Now, I know a lot of us are old like myself. You made the first note, and this is the second note. I'm going to test you to see. Let me look and see who's here. Because I have to test you. No, I'm not going to show everyone who's here. But I'm going to look to see who's here. So don't run before, when I finish, don't run. Let me check to see who's here. That's okay. You're here. I'm going to ask you about the two things to bring up for discussion. The second thing is science. We're talking about science now. I don't want to get into, I don't want to get too much into miracles. It's a waste of time. Science, in the sciences. So in the developing sciences, there's something today that's called artificial intelligence. And I'm taking this from the discussion to let you know, I listen to what you all, when you make comments in the classes, I listen to you, and I take in what you're saying. And the discussion is, and has been, under this idea of the qadr of Allah, the capacity that Allah has given for the science of artificial intelligence. Now, I didn't put the name on it. Someone else put the name on it. So I'm not going to get caught up in the name. We're looking at the principle, the idea of artificial intelligence, the functioning of artificial intelligence, not the name. Rename it, same thing. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the functioning principles of artificial intelligence according to its good and its harm. Artificial intelligence according to its good and its harm based upon what we're presenting today. The first part and this part, what we're presenting. Okay, make a note of that. Come back to that discussion, and as one person in here, I know he has to bring it up because it was in his writing it came up. It came up Tuesday, he commented, and so he should write the note to bring it back up because it may even help him in his writing. We're writing to publish a book. So it's a good subject. You don't have to know all the details of AI, but enough to have the discussion. You see how when things come up and then you read things, you say, oh yeah, we were talking about that. Oh yeah, that goes something else. Don't let it go. When things come up in your mind, I always say, don't throw it out. It comes up, take a look at it, come back. Then take a look at it again and come back. If you do it to make mockery, that's very disrespectful. But if you say, hey, we were discussing something the other day, bring it back up. And I went to look, I found this, bring it back up. Okay? So I'm not always right, and I'm not always wrong. And none of us are always right, none of us are always wrong. But here we're talking science, so you have to bring some kind of proof. Bring something to show you did do something. Yes. You were seeing me in the class with the amount you had. You should see enough to see that I'm not always right, but that's part of learning. So this came up. When I saw this, my mind went back to that discussion, and then because we're talking about the sciences all the time. So we can say here, the measuring. Allah has given a measuring to overcome artificial intelligence. It's part of the sciences. It's part of the developing sciences today. But it's good and it's harm. But everything Allah has created, He has created with the capacity of having benefit in it and having harm in it. That's why we have to be conscious to protect and preserve. This is not a world where you can just say, I believe, and you're just going to be protected. No, that's not the makeup of the human being. That's not the makeup of the Muslim. You have to be conscious of those things that can benefit you and that can harm you and that could destroy your most precious jewel, gem, whatever you call it, the heart. And if the heart goes bad, the whole person goes bad. Nu'minu bi-zahiri, we believe in the manifestation and the hidden. Allah is zahir, Allah is manifesting, wal-batin, and Allah is hiding. This is why we have faith. Yes. If you want to discuss this point, bring it up. But two, I gave you to make notes to discuss specifically with this presentation. Nahnu nu'minu bihi, and we believe in Him Ta'ala. When we say Him, we believe in Him. The Him is Allah the Most High, so we say Ta'ala. So you know what Him or it we're speaking of. And this is in the writing. I put this here, a quick lesson in the writing. Bil-Ghaibi. Yes, we believe in Him, Bil-Ghaibi. Now, all of this I'm saying now, you all already know. This, your mind will have to struggle with this. So this is a good lesson to go back and read the Arabic and look at the grammar of the Arabic beginners, because you already know what's being said. All of this is part of our articles of faith. So you already know that. So go back and look at the Arabic and look at the grammar with something like this. It'd be a little easy. You're not struggling with the concept and idea. Not like in the first. The first one you may struggle. This one you shouldn't struggle because you already know what it's saying. So we believe Bil-Ghaibi, in the unseen, unknown, unseen. Yes. Duna dalilin aqlaniyin. Without rational evidence. What we're connecting with the first part now. The two minds are meeting. Imam W.D. Muhammad and Ibn Arabi. They're meeting, if I can say it like this, they're having a meeting in my mind. So, and this is what's happening in my mind. So, without aqlani, without rational, intellectual proofs, indications, alal hawasi, upon the senses. There's no sense perception that we have of Allah. But we still believe in Him without any sensory perception. Though we believe in Him in terms of the signs and manifestations, as we talk about the Tawheed, it points to Him. Yes. And then at the same time that there are disclosures of Allah and Him being one, there's still the hidden. There's always the hidden. As much disclosure as we have in terms of proofs, but there's also without rational proofs upon the senses. We still have faith in Allah. He doesn't have to show Himself up as a man for us to have faith. If He shows up as a man, now we have Ilmu Yaqeen, and we don't need faith because we have the exact science. But we have faith. We're going to always have faith. Yaqdimu ad-dinu adallatan. That religion offers. Yaqdimu. Religion offers, at that time, religion offers proofs. بالكميات proofs عديدة and numerous quantities. Religion offers proofs in numerous quantities. Now, don't separate when we're talking. Anytime I'm making a presentation, in my mind, I'm not separating secular knowledge and religious knowledge in my mind. When I speak of the sciences, the origin of the sciences, the origin of modern day science begins with Quran, and that there is no separation. So when we say religion offers proofs, the scientific proofs are numerous in quantities. من العلوم المعروف, from the known sciences. ويترك, and this is from the logic of Imam W.D. Muhammad, not my logic. So he's saying it. From ulum al-ma'ruf, the well-known sciences we have, ويترك, and it omits, vast, we can say vast knowledge. It leaves room, it leaves space, iman, for faith. With all the scientific discoveries, with all the scientific findings that we have today, with all of it, if we gather it all up together, there's still vacuum, there's still volumes and volumes left on the table for faith, the unknown. بسعادة تامة, with complete happiness. I hope you have benefited from what we have presented. Remember those 2 notes you took and others that we can elaborate on in our classes and on Tuesday. But do remember, this weekend we will not have classes due to it being the Memorial Day weekend. But we will be here on Tuesday. I thank you for your time. Assalamu alaikum.